Hey everybody, Matt Johnson here, the sister of one of Mackenzie Shirilla's victims, speaking out and on a mission.
Yeah, he very much the last year, last 6 months, last few weeks was steady trying to get rid of her. And then she would, of course, play the victim and the narcissist and reel him back in. And it was just extremely toxic.
Do you think that she intended to kill him?
1,000,000,000%.
That's Christine Russo. She is the big sister to Dominic Russo, one of the two men that were killed by Mackenzie Shirilla, the other one, Davion Flanagan. We are going to talk about her brother. We are going to talk about what it was like to sit through that trial and her new mission for the foundation and keeping offenders like Mackenzie from profiting from their crimes. But first, do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share this episode. Now, the case of Mackenzie Shirilla. Here to help break it all down, we have a very special guest. You know how I like to stay victim focused, and really the victims in this case get lost when we're talking about manipulator and convicted killer Mackenzie Shirilla. So I have Christine Russo, Dominic Russo's sister. You're an advocate. You're also about DV awareness, and you have a YouTube channel that's also helping a lot of other families, and it's called The Big Sister Unhinged on YouTube. I'm going to have information in my show notes. We are going to talk about how people can get involved in all of this. But first, I want to focus on your brother. Please tell me about him and how you miss him every day.
Dominic we were all super, super close. Obviously, we're an Italian family, larger than most. I'm one of seven, so he was one of seven. Lots of cousins, family oriented. He was the godfather to our children. Like, we confirmed him in church. We were just birthdays, holidays. He was an extremely important person to a whole lot of people. He was extremely missed. He was kind and caring and giving and loyal. And the missing him every day, I really can't put into words as much as I'd like to for you. It's unbelievable.
I get it. And with this documentary that's been out there, she's in the news every day. How have you been holding up? Because you're being re-victimized along with your family.
Well, it's been really rough. I have chosen to start a podcast, start a petition to stop her from gaining fame and fortune off of his murder. I started a foundation. I have a fundraiser going to give back to domestic violence awareness. So how I deal with my grief is I keep pretty busy. I can't say the same for, other members of my family. We're not dealing with this very well at all. In fact, it's actually, the movie coming out it's been terrible for us.
Now, when we're talking about Mackenzie and we're talking about the relationship with your brother, first off, how long did they date and how would you characterize this relationship? Because a lot of people have called it toxic and tumultuous.
It started off, I think she was always like narcissistical, and self-absorbed. They were young. A lot of times if, people who've been in toxic relationships or abusive relationships will know what I'm talking about. But it didn't appear that way at first, up until I think they started living with each other, and then it really got toxic. I think she always had very bad things going on with her, mentally, and just how she was as a person. People have come forward with awful stories about her being a bully and just basically how she was. But it wasn't, to me, as an older sister, I was 13 years older than him. I didn't see that, or know, like the secrets of their relationship and things like that. So when I talk about it, it's from his close friends, his best friends, people he did share these things with, that I've talked to since this has happened and things. And so it was really toxic. He was trying to leave her for a really long time. And he had a lot of things going for him, He was goal oriented, was doing something with himself and his life every single day. He had huge goals and she did not. She wasn't, no school, no job, nothing without Dominic. And I think she was so self-absorbed that she just couldn't let him go. So it got super, super toxic, especially when he wanted to, move on and leave.
Was she abusing your brother?
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know if it ever got physical. It may have. There's been texts and things that have come out that I've seen pieces of. I will not look through his text messages, obviously. I just think it's a complete invasion of his privacy. But I've seen some things where the way she's talking to him, I would call it emotional abuse. But physically, I'm not sure.
Was he trying to break up with her? What is the true story that was going on?
So about a year prior to this happening, he had started to, I think, realize that he wanted normalcy, things like life was short, he's not happy. He wanted to go one way. He wanted to join the army or the services. I'm not sure if it was the army or not, but he wanted to join the services and serve the country. He felt like he had a bigger purpose and she was just holding him back. He didn't want to deal with it anymore. So yeah, he very much the last year, last 6 months, last few weeks was steady trying to get rid of her. And then she would, of course, play the victim and the narcissist and reel him back in. And it was just extremely toxic.
Do you think that she intended to kill him?
1,000,000,000%. If I could times that by 10. There's no doubt in my mind or anybody's mind that sat through that trial and know everything, not just pieces that are on the internet and things like that, because everybody on the internet are only seeing certain things and, a lot of misinformation out there and things like that. But there is not one doubt in my mind that she turned on that road with full intentions to crash the car into the wall.
What was it from the trial or the evidence or what you've learned or know about her that leads you to believe that it was intentional murder?
There was a lot. Because I had thought it was an accident I wanted myself to believe it was an accident for like a while after the crash. First of all, the road that it's on. I'm not sure if you're from around here. I don't think you are actually, but the road that it happened on is a windy, bumpy road. So immediately she told me and a couple members of my family, her mother was telling us that Mackenzie was unconscious for days. And come to find out she was not. They were like, it seemed like they were formulating or corroborating their story right off the bat. There was lies and hiding things right off the bat. And then, I just started to realize, like, wait a minute, that road, she said she had POTS that nobody knew about, She said she fainted, doesn't remember. Well, at 100 miles an hour, when we started hearing things like she was driving 100 miles an hour, she wasn't drunk. Because that was another thing, like my mind went to, could she have been drunk? You know what I mean? Like, was this a drinking and driving type of teenage thing, I wouldn't have thought murder right off the bat, but that's just me. There are other family members that knew immediately that this was intentional because of things that had been going on. But me, myself, like I didn't know certain things, so thought it was an accident. And then I'm thinking about the road, and the road is, so she's going 92 miles an hour or something like that. The road is so windy and bumpy that in order to go I think it's 35. So in order to go 35 miles an hour, you have to have complete focus on the road, both hands on the wheel, and you're jerking your car in order to stay on the road. So it only makes sense that if she was passed out, she would have landed to the left, landed to the right. Dom or Davion would have, maybe tried to stop her. There was a lot of things that started to make sense. Like, okay, she did this on purpose. That the road is the biggest one. If you haven't driven it, it might be hard to understand, but there's no way to make it to the end of the road without being completely focused on getting to the end of the road, especially at the high speeds of 90. That's hard to do at 35. You can't make it down the road being unconscious. So there was just a lot of a lot of things, I guess, like that.
Was there anything that was happening right before the incident? Wasn't he trying to break up with her? He was already accusing her of being a reckless driver. She had, there was evidence that she had done a dry run on that road before.
Yeah, I heard about the dry run. The biggest thing to me was that a couple weeks prior, she had done the same thing. She was driving her vehicle and was threatening to, I don't know if it was like threatening to kill him, crash the car, something along the lines of that. And then there were witnesses to that. There was a phone call he had made. Witnesses, they heard it. They had gotten her to pull over to the side where he was then picked up on the side of the highway. So this wasn't the first time she had tried something like that. There were things like that that surfaced as well.
What do you think was happening inside the car? I spoke with an expert, a crash reconstructionist, and he was kind of going over some of the car data that was shared during the trial and the crash report. And he was saying that there could have been a struggle in the car trying to get her to stop.
There was evidence that the car was thrown into neutral like 3 seconds before it hit the wall. I really, truly believe, and this is all my opinion on the trial, I sat through the whole trial and we were all on autopilot. So I'm serving like my best memory, but from what I believe, I really believe that on the main road, they began arguing and she intentionally turned down that street with full intention. I think they were fighting. And I don't think that the boys knew that she was actually going to really crash into the wall until like the last few seconds. There was something else that the other thing about that is that the cut through, the street that it happened on is a cut through, but it was actually a longer route to Dominic's house. There's no reason that they should have taken that street whatsoever. It does dead end into a brick building. She knew that. Everyone's been down that street. But I think that she turned on that street. I think they were fighting. She turned on that street with full intention. And I think like 3 seconds before they hit the wall, somebody threw it into neutral and then it was thrown back into drive.
What else do we not know? You said that, you know the full story. You've heard a lot of evidence that hasn't been shared on the internet or during the trial. What can you share with us that we might not know about?
The biggest thing that I've said before, so I'm not sure if you've heard this one, but just with her mother lying to me and my dad and my sister for it was 3 or 4 days. And she had told us that Mackenzie was unconscious. And we sat there and we prayed for her to wake up and cried. And, were terrified that she wasn't going to make it. And the whole time she had been awake. She had a surgery right after or something, but she was awake the whole entire time that she was lying to us and telling us that she was unconscious. Things like that, I guess, that is one thing, but.
Yeah, I have actually a clip from the mother in court. This is her talking about POTS, and I'll get your reaction to it.
POTS is it's a condition where your blood pressure gets very low, and it happens sometimes when you stand up too fast, you can pass out.
Have you observed your daughter experience these symptoms?
Yes.
On how many occasions prior to this accident?
Multiple, couple for sure, multiple, yeah.
So you were aware of these POTS incidents, yet you still went to the BMV and said, give my daughter a driver's license.
Yes.
You signed off on her operating a car on the highway.
Yes.
So are you in court for that? What were you thinking?
Like I said, we were all kind of on autopilot. I had never heard anything that she had POTS. It's not something that any of us that were around her or any of the friends ever experienced with her. And this is from what I am remembering. I don't believe, and don't quote me, but I don't believe that there was ever even any medical evidence that she had POTS prior to the crash. Just after they mentioned it. I really, truly believe that the second this crash happened, she did. It's on film. She looked at the police officer and said to her mother in that gypsy language, "Can I just tell them that I had a seizure?" She's asking her mom what to say immediately after the crash. And then I think they formulated this. And another thing, I saw an interview with her father. And I feel bad about this whole thing. I really hate even to dig further, but I saw this. Kumo asked him what condition this is. He said, Steve replies, POTS. And I think Kumo asked him, like, well, what does that stand for? Or Steve tried to say, what does it stand for? And he didn't know what POTS stood for. Now, I have a son who has a congenital heart defect. It is like this long to say. It's the most, it's so hard to say. It's an anomalous origination of the coronary artery stemming from his right sinus to the left sinus.
But you're the mother, so you know it.
So mother or father, like, I feel like I was watching that and I was like, my kid has a hard to say diagnosis, but as a parent, you know that if she really had it, you know what I'm saying? You don't even, all you can say it's about the blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? There's no, like, to me, it was like, she doesn't have it. You know, I know she doesn't have it because you'd be able, as a parent, you'd be able to say what it was or pronounce it or, you know,
because it would have always been part of your life and something that you're monitoring or whatever. I get you. I get you 100% on this.
Yep.
But you mentioned that you called it gypsy language. Is it gypsy language? I've never heard it before. Did you ever hear her speak like that before around you? Did your brother mention it? What is that?
It's like a form of Carney talk. There's no like nationality behind it or anything. I had friends recently message me and they're like, we speak that when we don't want people to understand what we're saying. And I was like, I had no clue. It's like a hidden language that people speak so that people don't know what they're talking about. And that's exactly why they taught her that. I don't remember if I heard her talk like that, but there are relatives that had heard it, maybe a couple times, but it's Carney talk. It's an off the grid, made up language, and people use it so you don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
Which is odd that you teach your children.
You just brought it up, that's always been a question that I had as well. Okay, so we talked about, you sitting through the trial. And what people don't realize is this is a long process. It's a lot of pretrial hearings. It just, and now you're dealing with the possibility of parole, which we'll talk about for the rest of your life, in trying to keep her back and trying to represent your brother. But there was also the victim impact statements, and she was able to call witnesses, as mitigation witnesses. And one of them was the mom, and I'm going to play it. And I just wanted to get your reaction to it because I just think that it was just so insensitive. And here it is.
Never, ever, ever murder the love of her life. Okay. For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote. Okay. She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun, a moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world, So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes. Okay, and they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the two dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so
What
sorry.
does that mean? His life is worthless?
No.
Okay, I just can't hear any more of that. What?
I know, I want you to shut it off after like 3 seconds. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's
No, it's
just,
okay.
what were you thinking?
First thoughts are, I wrote one down because I have a bad memory, but why do they continue to trash him and disrespect my brother then? In all the prison calls, like, I don't know if you've heard them or not, they sit there and they, at one point, Mackenzie's making fun of his music. Like, if this was true, if he was the love of your life and this was this big, huge accident, why do you sit there and disrespect him and talk about him and his family terribly? The most terrible, disgusting things have been said about us. They have been in cahoots with YouTube channels that are there to slander my family and drag us through the mud. Dominic through the mud, our brothers, our parents. You know, you felt so bad. It's just your actions and your words say a lot different than when you're in front of a judge, than when you don't think that you're being listened to.
People really forget that there's another 2 families behind all of this. And so thank you again for being here, Let's switch gears then. Let's talk about your missions. And one of those, we have to talk about, let's button this up with talking about your mission for keeping her behind bars. What is your plan?
Mission for keeping her behind bars. Right now, she files an appeal every 6 months. So right now there's an appeal. So I'm very careful with, like, I don't know, I got to be careful about, everything that we say, and everything's under a microscope, I feel, which is ridiculous. Like, I should be able to talk however I want. She's guilty beyond a reasonable. She always will be. I don't doubt for a second. I know that she'll stay in there. I don't think she'll ever get out. We do plan on being at every appeal, absolutely, and then every parole hearing when she is up for parole. The entire family will be there, and I do plan on, with everything that I've accumulated, all of the screenshots and her conversations with her mom behind bars, everything that is so disturbing, I'm compiling it to, show the parole board. What she's doing is her and her family and friends they are crowdfunding, and that's why I started that petition. They are starting, they started supposedly like OnlyFans, there's Give and Goes, there's PayPal accounts. They have formed all these ways to send her money, and I've spoken with the girls that she was in prison with, and I guess she's living quite lavishly. She has a very comfy lifestyle in jail right now. She's in a medium security where she has curling irons, top of the line makeup. She gets up at 6 a.m. every day to do her makeup, I heard. Like, I don't do my makeup I didn't do my makeup for this. Like, why? It speaks a lot about who she is and what she cares about. Her appearance, she's self-absorbed. It's narcissistical. I just think that's crazy. She has, multiple pairs of shoes, hoodies, like $500 sweatshirts, things like that. It's like,
where does the appeal stand right now? Hasn't she been denied every appeal? Is there any sort of world or chance where she could get another trial after all of this? I think it's like now with the habeas petition, right?
I think that there's always a chance that she could be granted an appeal. Like I always say, you see on TV and like movies and stuff where, I don't know, something funky happens in court or something funky happened or something that sticks at the back of your mind, like my family's mind. Like what if something was filed wrong, or what if she says that her lawyer was incompetent? I don't know. A bunch of things could happen. I don't believe that she'll ever be like granted an appeal. We'd have to sit through another trial. I absolutely don't believe that. I think her last thing was an appeal about had something to do with the POTS thing, with them the lawyer not submitting or pulling up her medical records or something like that. But it's like they were given the fair opportunity. They did talk about it. They just they didn't have any medical documentation to prove that she had it prior to the crash. So
yeah, they could have had that. She could have testified about it. They could have called an expert. You know, everyone has the right to put on a defense. And, you know, that's just how it works. But they had the opportunity to call those witnesses. They had an opportunity to have a jury. They chose not to. You know, so like, yeah, sure, she could say ineffective counsel, but that's probably not going to go anywhere, to your point.
Yeah, that's it was it was a fair trial. They had every opportunity, and they couldn't get an expert witness or anything because they didn't have one, because there wasn't any documentation. It wasn't an excuse for what she did, as much as they tried for it to be.
And so talk to me about, it's basically a Son of Sam situation, right? And the law that you're trying to create with this petition. Please tell me about it a little bit more and how listeners can help you.
The petition is the Dom and Davion's law, and it's to modernize the Son of Sam's law. We met with the House this week, and there's actually HB 505, which is almost the same thing as what we are interested in doing, and that is modernizing the Son of Sam's. The Son of Sam's was written a really, really long time ago, way before social media and the digital era started. The law needs changed. That only covered violent criminals profiting off of their crime with book deals, like journalism, and movie deals. Now you see all these other ways that criminals are profiting from their crimes. They get out there and we're talking about violent offenders. We're not infringing on anybody's or trying to infringe on anyone's First Amendment, but these violent criminals are coming out, murderers, rapists, and they are starting TikToks and becoming influencers and getting paid for talking about their crimes and things like that, or crowdfunding. So we're trying to cover all the loopholes, including like relatives being able to talk about it and using, the crime on their social medias to benefit somehow. We should be meeting with the Senate here, but we're going to try to piggyback off of HB 505 and just see if we can, tighten it up. And we're going to testify in front of the Senate and things like that. And it's one thing that, sitting back and watching somebody profit off of, and her family, her friends, anybody profiting off of my brother's murder. He's no longer with us anymore. It's so hard to sit back and think about, like, she has all these people because she killed my brother, sending her money in jail so she can sit there and live. It's like she's in a high school camp or something, so we're trying to prevent that. And then if she ever does make parole, which I highly doubt, the only thing she's ever been concerned about is her reputation, her becoming a model, her trying to get Instagram famous. So we're going to try to stop that too.
Well, bravo to you. And you're going to help a lot of other victims' families along the way. And my prayers are with you and your family. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your truth and this mission. And I'm going to have the information in my show notes below. But how else can we follow you? You have the YouTube channel.
I'm on all the social medias, the Big Sister Unhinged. I've turned, because we're tired. Our family can't deal with seeing all this bad stuff on Facebook anymore, like the most insensitive posts, creators and influencers. You're probably not surprised with what you see on the internet, but people that create content that are like, that have it's so insensitive. Some of these things we're tired of seeing all the bad stuff on social media. So I'm trying to pivot now with my podcast into helping other people. I had somebody on last week who I was able to put out her GoFundMe, and bring awareness to her case. There's a lot of injustice going on. So as the Big Sister, I want to meet with other people's, people that have lost somebody, especially siblings, because a lot of times sibling grief and sibling loss has been overlooked. And I really, really want to bring awareness to that. And then domestic violence in teens. So a lot to come.
Well, I'm excited to hear updates about your channel and your mission. Please keep us posted and please come back.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you.
Now, if you would like to learn more about the case, please head to the video section of this YouTube channel. I speak with a crash reconstructionist. I've also interviewed a forensic psychologist and a former inmate at Mackenzie Shirilla's prison. And if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe and share the episode. I'll keep you updated on this case as it unfolds. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.